Hello, and welcome back to Mutant Memories. This is my fourth episode, but today we will be talking about the New Mutants Issue 2, titled Sentinels. It came out originally on April 10th, 1983. The plot. We return to where we left off in the last issue with Danny in the danger room being pursued by a horrible beast. We are reminded that Danny's power is that she can take a person's deepest thoughts or memories, good or bad, and make intangible images of those things appear, including a person's worst fears or deepest desires. She manages to get away from the beast and is still in disbelief that she's in the danger room. She remembers that Xavier showed them the program she found herself currently in and said it was a very high-level training program, much too high for her and her fellow classmates. She wonders who is trying to kill her. Just when she thinks she is safe, another monster comes up to her and tells her that they want her to host their offspring, but it would be too dangerous. It explains that she is the only one to feel its presence, and she is also the only one who can defeat it. X-Men readers will recognize the creature as a member of the alien race, the Brood. The Brood alien knocks her off a cliff and she falls and is hurt, and we are left with an image of her lying on the ground. Across town at the Salem Center Mall, Shan, Bobby, Rain, and Stevie Hunter are leaving a movie, and Stevie leaves the kids at an ice cream shop while she goes to call the mansion to make sure everything is all right. She feels something might be wrong because she hasn't heard from Xavier in their mind connection or whatever they have. The kids get ice cream and meet some local high schoolers. At first, the townies are mean to them because they think they are snobs, but a more friendly girl begins to make friends with them and the kids introduce themselves. In a small surveillance room, we see that they are still being watched by Sebastian Shaw and Henry Gyrich, who we saw last issue. They are talking about how the kids will be brought into the police. Shaw, who is a member of the inner circle of the Hellfire Club, who we saw back in the graphic novel, schemes to himself that Gyrich doesn't even know that he is a mutant, and how he hopes to make the kids fearful of everyone, so that when they remove Xavier, they will flock to join the Hellfire Club. That way, the more powerful mutants will be under the control of the Hellfire Club's inner circle. It is revealed that Gyrich intends to take the kids to a facility to be evaluated. He shows Shaw some sort of weapon that Shaw has been producing for him, and Shaw says that this weapon shouldn't be allowed to be used against kids. Gyrich assures him that it will only be used against adult villains, and some simple police should be able to deal with the kids. Stevie is grabbed after using the payphone and taken to a dark storage closet. Her abductor turns out to be Michael Rossi, a colonel of the Air Force Intelligence, who Stevie has heard of from friend of the X-Men Carol Danvers. Stevie also thought that Rossi was supposed to be dead. He tells her that she needs his assistance and he will tell her why. Back at the ice cream parlor, the kids are talking to their new acquaintances, and 4 officers come up to the table of kids and tell the members of the New Mutants to come with them. The group looks towards Shan for what to do because she is the oldest. She begrudgingly leads them to go with the officers. As they are about to get in a car in a parking lot with the officers that were taking them somewhere, Stevie and Rossi come to their rescue and they escape the men. The kids also help Stevie and Rossi using their powers. Sam asks Stevie if it was wise to attack the men because they are with the government. Rossi explains that he is also from the government. The officers are in custody of the kids and Rossi and Stevie, and they try to complain, but Rossi explains that they are not acting legally, even though they are from the government. Just as it looks like everything will be okay, a sentinel crashes through the wall and takes out Rossi with a gas attack from its hand. The girls collect Rossi and try and take him to safety while Sam blasts the sentinel out of the ceiling of the parking garage. There are 2 more sentinels waiting for him there. Sunspot, Bobby, helps him. At one point, Sunspot throws Sentinel into the mall. The kids fight the sentinels for a while until Rossi wakes back up and helps them with a gun. He tells Shan as karma to possess one of the men, and while this man is possessed, they can make him call off the sentinels by calling his boss. Shan complies, and the sentinels are defeated. The police come, and the man Shan has possessed admits to calling the sentinels and explains that he works for Henry Peter Gyrich. He is arrested, and Rossi tells Shan that she can stop possessing him. The man is confused as to why he is being arrested. Shan asks Rossi if the man that was getting arrested was a criminal. Rossi explains that the man was going to send all the kids to basically a concentration camp. Shan tells Rossi that she feels this was a bad thing to do to the man and two wrongs don't make a right. She explains that she has a brother with the same power as her, and he used his powers to manipulate and even kill people. She explains she will not use her powers like this. Rossi tells her that he is not the enemy, and she replies that he doesn't exactly feel like a friend either. When the kids get home, they find Danny laying unconscious in the middle of the danger room. They wake her, and she explains about the danger room being activated to attack her. Danny is shaken, but overall okay. Stevie thinks to herself that only 3 people had permission to run the danger room: her, Moira McTaggart, and Charles Xavier. She knows Moira is in Europe still, and she knows she wasn't the one to control it, which just leaves Charles. In the final frame of the issue, we see Charles sleeping, and the image of a brood queen is appearing as an astral image above him. We learn then that Charles is unaware that a brood is growing inside of him. Impressions when I read it long ago. This was another issue that didn't leave much of an impression on me. I remember thinking it was cool to see the Sentinels, but the fight with them was a little bit unmemorable to me. I remember being very excited at the end when it showed the Brood, because by that time I had read the Brood arc in Uncanny X-Men and I really enjoyed it. I've always been heavily into sci-fi. Growing up, I loved Star Wars, Star Trek, the Alien movies, and I had just finished reading The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury, and that is one of my all-time favorite books. I still love it very much to this day. I really just enjoyed everything having to do with space and aliens, and my original profession that I wanted to be most of my life was actually an astronomer. I found the Brood to be very terrifying but fascinating. Impressions and thoughts upon rereading. I kind of agree with my original opinions of this issue that it's a little bit unmemorable. The thing I do like about this issue is that it sets up the relationship of Xavier's students with the students in town. Earlier on in the run of the comic book, there are some interactions between the New Mutants and the town kids, and this is the first time you see the dynamic between them. Some of the townies think that Xavier's kids are stuck-up weirdos, but some of the kids are friends with them. Later on, the girls even have a slumber party with some of the kids from town. I also really like that Rain seems a lot more confident in these early issues than the later ones. This leads me to think of Rain's character. Sometimes I find her character can change and be a little inconsistent from issue to issue. In these early ones, she is religious and still sheltered, but overall she seems more willing to flex her comfort zones. Even as early as issue 14, she seems a little more nervous and not open-minded again, so it was kind of nice to see her talking with the kids from town so easily. Even when the kids ask her if she's punk or new wave, she answers, "I'm Scots." She doesn't seem as nervous and timid in this issue as she appears later on in the series. The Sentinels were cool, but I felt like the kids almost had too good of control of their powers. Beating the Sentinels seemed a little too easy, and there wasn't very much tension. At this point, most of the kids were newbies to fighting bad guys, and I would have liked to see them struggle a bit more. Overall, it was pretty fun though. This issue didn't have much to talk over, and it's not really one of my favorites. I think early on in this comic book they were trying to get readers, so they seemed to really pump each book full of physical action. I really like action in comic books, obviously, but I like plots that are more about the interaction between characters and the characters' self-reflection, or action plots that challenge the characters on a deeper level than just good versus bad. Again, they are trying to introduce the characters a little bit so that the casual reader might want to stick around. I understand that. So my more number-minded sister actually came up with a rubric to grade these comic books on. So I'll be using what she made up for me to grade the comics from now on. It's still 1 to 10 points, but it's broken down like this. 3 points go to illustration, 3 points go to plot quality, 3 points for character development, and 1 point for how the story holds up in today's society. And that last one may seem a little bit vague, but what I mean is that I will give it a 0 if it doesn't hold up, and I'll give it a 1 if it holds up. So for this issue, I gave 2 points to illustration, 2 points to plot quality, 1 point for character development, and 1 point for cultural representation. The total of this issue would then be 6 out of 10. Above average comic, but not as thrilling or interesting as other issues. The Sentinel fight was a bit too generic, even though it was really well illustrated by McLeod. This is the end of the video. Tell me in the comments if you have read this issue, and if you have, what do you think? Stay tuned for more of this series and general videos about the X universe, and probably other stuff on this channel at one point. I'd also like to recommend, if you haven't read The New Mutants, to try and find a copy to read or go through the Marvel platform. I would seek out a way to pay to read it because it really is worth reading, and it's a very foundational book for the X universe. Thank you for watching. Have a great morning, day, or evening. See you next issue. Ashling out!